Straight ahead on 12 News, using the library to work in your financial favor. From entertainment to professional development, all free. Plus, should Highway 252 turn into a freeway? Why Brooklyn Center residents might not go for it. But first, the future of police body cameras. All Brooklyn Park officers will soon be required to wear them. 12 News starts right now. Hello and thanks for joining us. The Brooklyn Park Police Department is still trying to iron out the protocol for body cameras.
The police chief updated the city council this week with research on a test program, and reporter Sonia Goen sat down with the chief to discuss the future of body cameras.
We need to get the privacy issues worked out.
For months, Brooklyn Park Police Chief Craig Invelson has been gathering information on body cameras.
I personally feel that this is going to become just like squad video. When squad video first came out, there were a lot of concerns from the law enforcement community, the community itself.
16 Brooklyn Park police officers took part in a trial study, which ran from September through November.
Our officers want them.
The chief says 2 months are not enough to determine if the program is effective, but they did gather some interesting findings. There were 2 use of force incidents during the pilot program.
Hello, sir, Brooklyn Park Police.
For the 2 months prior, there were 7 incidents.
Why are you harassing me?
While most of the officers who participated in the program liked the idea of wearing the gear, they found some challenges to the cameras. Officials say the viewpoint is limited and doesn't capture the entire scene.
Depending upon how tall the officer was or where the officer put the body camera on them, either we were capturing the face and missing a lot of hands and things.
Another concern is whether school liaison officers should wear body cameras. Some parents worry about privacy issues.
We just started the conversations with our districts. That will not be part of our first initial deployment. It will not include the schools.
Storing camera data also presents a dilemma. The chief would like to store the video for at least 6 years.
We can't come under civil litigation after 6 years. So what we found with squad video and other things is that it's been very beneficial in civil litigation.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
The chief will go back to the city council on February 8th for approval of the body cameras. He hopes to implement the program starting February 15th.
More than 12 million victims and billions of dollars stolen last year alone. Those are the latest statistics when it comes to consumer fraud and identity theft. Representatives from AARP and the Brooklyn Center Police Department told seniors how to protect themselves from some of the top scams happening right now in Minnesota. One is imposter scams, someone pretending to be from the IRS, for example, claiming that you owe back taxes. The other is identity and mail theft. Remember, putting that red flag up is an easy target. Anyone can fall victim to a scam, but it's no coincidence that seniors are targeted.
These are people who've had years to work and save, and not everyone is financially secure, but you know, the average older adult, a senior, has some money in the bank, and the con artists are going after that.
The bottom line is it's good to be skeptical and ask questions, and don't fall for time pressures, such as a sudden deadline that money is due. At least 34 people in Minnesota were killed last year as a result of domestic violence. That is according to a report released by the Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women, which reports a 33% increase from 2014.
And Delane Cleveland joins us now with more on what organizations want to do to help reverse that trend. Delane?
And Mike and Alex, this is the 27th year that the Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women has come out with this report. It remembers each of the people who died last year as a result of domestic violence, but just looking at the number doesn't tell the whole story.
I mean, there are 34 homicides this year, which is horrific. But if you look at the largest scheme and the largest statistics, we know that more than 65,000 people sought services from our domestic violence programs in the state last year.
Liz Richards of the Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women says we have to look at each of these cases to see if there's anything we can learn to make changes and improve intervention. One of the women featured in the report is Krista Ambers. She was found strangled to death in her Brooklyn Park home last August by her live-in boyfriend, who had an extensive history of domestic abuse. It's one example of why the people who compiled the report say that domestic violence is a complex issue that will take a complex series of solutions to address.
One of the things that we encourage is that anyone who's having contact with domestic violence victims should be seeking information about any threats that have been made. And if there are threats to kill that have been made, those should be cases that should clearly warrant a greater intervention.
Well, one way that the general public can help locally is by volunteering with Safe Journey. It's a program that serves North Memorial Medical Center and Maple Grove Hospital. They're looking for people to help victims of domestic abuse by providing a listening ear, support, and safety planning. For more information on how to sign up, you can go to our website at 12.tv. Mike?
All right, thank you, Delane. A fire early this morning in Plymouth badly damaged an apartment unit on Lancaster Lane. It happened shortly after 3 a.m. Wednesday at the complex called At the Lake Apartments. No one was inside the unit when the fire started. Fortunately, no one was hurt and no other apartment units sustained damage. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
Intersections along Highway 252 in Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park are under the microscope for their high number of crashes.
But 73rd in this data, because there were 2 fatalities there, it's ranked number 2 in the state.
At an open house in Brooklyn Center Tuesday, the Brooklyn Center city engineer went over options to improve the safety of the Highway 252 corridor. The eventual goal is to make it a freeway, which involves closing intersections. But that also comes with some concerns. Some residents wonder what could happen to businesses if traffic is allowed to bypass Brooklyn Center.
When they're talking about doing this to the benefit the Brooklyn Center, to me it's benefiting other cities north of us, not helping. I don't see it really helping Brooklyn Center.
Significant 252 changes are still at least 4 to 5 years away. Any plan would need city, county, and state support before anything can happen. And if you would like to see the plans yourself, there are 2 more open houses. They take place tonight, Wednesday evening, and Thursday night from 5:30 until 7 at the Brooklyn Center Water Treatment Plant.
If you live in the Northwest Metro, you know the area has plenty to celebrate, from shops and restaurants to parks and playfields, but how do you get the word out to others? That's where a Convention and Visitors Bureau comes into play, such as Minneapolis Northwest. They're celebrating their 30th anniversary of marketing the Northwest Metro. Minneapolis Northwest started under a different name in the 1980s after the legislature put a statute into place allowing cities to create their own Convention and Visitors Bureaus. And at that time, they represented Fridley, too.
When Maple Grove added a hotel just about 2 years after we first started, we added Maple Grove to the mix, and then we added some other cities from across the river, and then it got to be this huge animal, and now we're back to pretty much our original 3 cities: Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, and Maple Grove.
Minneapolis Northwest primarily markets to outstate locations in smaller cities such as Fargo and Sioux Falls. Well, coming up, ways the Hennepin County Library can help you save money that you might not know about.
And then a little bit later in Sports, Park Center and Osseo meet in a key girls basketball battle.
But first, mild weather continues on Thursday.
Here's a question for you. How much do you spend on books, movies, or music?
Well, one report shows Americans spend as much as 5% of their total income on entertainment. But you don't have to. Reporter Shannon Slatton shows us some money-saving entertainment solutions that won't bust your budget.
Libraries today are about so much more than just books. There are several resources available here or at home that can save you money.
It's a window to the world, definitely.
We sat down with librarian Rose Ryan, who has more than 20 years of library experience under her belt. She shared a few little-known resources that you can use with your Hennepin County Library card.
For me, myself, I really like to experiment with things that I might not normally purchase. So, you know, songs or movies or a book I might not normally read. So it really stretches me as a person. So that's really what I like about the library.
Professional development tools are high on the list.
People are really looking for jobs a lot still, we find, and we have 2 databases that help people with current job postings.
From job counseling and feedback to taking courses on lynda.com.
It has 3,000 videos, interactive videos that are filmed by experts to help you learn skills.
You You can also tap into databases that are usually only available to professionals with a subscription, like Morningstar, which researches and evaluates investments, or AllData, a database mechanics use to diagnose what's wrong with your car.
The information that you need to have just to answer the everyday questions in life, you know, or to make your family better or progressing, you know, the library's there for you.
But if you haven't already, maybe you should say hello to one of my favorite library services, Fridley.
It's a really good source for people who love music and, you know, want to use it for longer than 3 weeks.
You can download 5 songs a week and keep them forever, which includes Adele's new fast-selling album, Hello. Or you can reintroduce yourself to old favorites.
I've just got to let you know.
There's a service called Zinio that does the same thing with magazines.
Check out that magazine, Nothing to Return.
There's much more here, and if you can't find it at the library, just ask. A librarian like Rose Ryan would be happy to help you find an answer. In Maple Grove, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
One more resource for parents of high school or college students. The library has courses and sample tests your student can take for the ACT, SAT, or even entrance exams to law or med school. Things we didn't know.
You can do it all there.
That's right. Coming up, high marks for local high school theater.
But first in sports, Benilde-St. Margaret meets Minnetonka in a matchup of 2 of the state's best boys hockey teams. John Jacobson has that and more when we come back.
The Benilde-St. Margaret's boys hockey team climbed to the top of the state Class AA rankings after knocking off Eden Prairie in mid-December. The Red Knights have been tested plenty, but were still unbeaten coming into their matchup against number 2 Minnetonka Tuesday night. First period of play, and the puck comes to Benilde's Peter Heimbold. His shot redirected, and it's buried for a 1-0 Red Knights lead. Later in the first period, Minnetonka's Brendan Scarta carries his pass tip to Grant Doctor, puts it into the open net, and the period ends tied at 1. Second period, Benilde's Augie Moore finds Connor Mayer. His second attempt beats the goalie. Benilde's up 2-1 after 2. Skippers tied after solid forechecking. Mario Berliot finding Brendan Ryan, and we are tied up at 2. But just a minute and a half later, Benilde's Jacob Holmers carries the puck around the back of the net, hits Luke Horton in front, and the Red Knights retake the lead 3-2. And then it's Horton returning the favor. He'll pass it to Holmers, who puts it away before a big collision. The top-ranked Red Knights skate away with a 4-2 win over Minnetonka.
You know, it's just really another game. It is 1 versus 2, but we really take every game the same. We want to come out with the same intensity, and we play as hard as we can every single game.
I mean, it's a big boost, but we're not necessarily focused on our record. We're just focused on getting better every game and accomplishing our goal at the end of the year.
Osseo's boys basketball team came into play Tuesday night, still unbeaten. Rival Park Center hoped to end that streak. Highlights from the second half of this one. Alan Anderson takes it all the way for the hoop, finishing with the right hand off the glass. Orioles lead 44-39. Demario Armstrong hits a short jumper just off the block. He's one of 6 Osseo players to score in double figures. Kari Broadway steps in for the steal and layup. He goes back the other way for the Pirates, but they still trail Osseo in this one. And then it's Kadeem Thomas. He'll go baseline. Nice move to score for PC, but the Pirates can't hang with the Orioles this night. Good second chance hoop here. John Bezdacek there for the tip in off a miss. He had 14 points in the game. And then John Bezdacek sets up his brother Matt with a nice pass. He'll score 2 of his 14 points in the game. Osseo beats Park Center 97-75. The Orioles are now 19-0. The top-ranked Hopkins boys have a rematch with Wayzata Friday. They look to take care of business against a Cooper squad that had lost 3 in a row after a great start. Hawks looking to spring an upset on their home court. Melvin Newbern will pick up a loose ball and get into the lane to score, plus a foul here. He's nets 25, and Cooper's within 4. Cross-court pass is tipped, but Ishmael El-Amin catches and shoots, burying a 3 on his way to a 31-point game for Hopkins. Xavier Johnson whips a pass ahead to Joe Hedstrom for a layup, and it's 29-17 Hopkins. El-Amin gets a steal at midcourt and goes in for the dunk as Hopkins bolts out to a 44-25 advantage. Cooper has some young talent. Watch the fake and layup by freshman Jalen Miller. And Coach Bo Powell and the Hawks still trail 56-33 at halftime. Second half, Simon Wright attacks on the dribble to score 2 of his 13 points. Hopkins improves to 20-0 with a 112-70 win. In the Tri-Metro Conference, Brooklyn Center hosting Fridley. Landon Kirkwood drives baseline, scores on the reverse layup for the Centaurs. At the other end, Evan Nelson with a 3 for the Tigers. They lead 39-31 at halftime. The second half is hard fought. Kirkwood dishes to Devonta Prince for the slam. And Prince runs the break and bounces it to Deshaun Pickford for a 56-53 BC lead. Tigers then go on a 7-0 run. Shaheem Murray's 3 gives them a 60-56 lead. BC is down 3 with under 30 seconds left. Pickford nails a clutch 3-pointer and the game goes to overtime. But the Centaurs manage only 2 points in OT, and Fridley wins this one 77-68. In girls basketball, Osseo and Park Center met for the second time this season. The Orioles won the first game, and this one on Park Center's home court as they looked for their 5th win in 6 games. And Seminette, dangerous shooter when left wide open. She buries a corner 3 here. It's 12-5 Park Center. Megan Dubois drives from the wing and scores 2 in the lane. And Coach Chris Vanderhyde's team in the lead much of the night against Osseo. Orioles in transition. Kiara Russell whips a pass across to Mina Port for the layup. They're down just 2. And watch the block by Osseo's Azaria Reed here. It triggers an Orioles fast break. Russell ahead to Michaela Hamola, who drives and scores. And Osseo leads by 1. But Park Center retakes the lead before halftime. Michaela Hayes with a free throw. And at halftime, the juniors honored for having reached 1,000 career points and 700 rebounds at Park Center. Good night for her and the Pirates. And they beat Osseo 71-59. And that's a look at sports.
All right. Thanks a lot, John. We'll be right back. And finally, 3 local high school theater departments earned high marks from the pros.
Do that. Just hold still. That hurts. You hold still when it hurts so much. Well, if you had...
That's a scene from Beauty and the Beast at Wayzata High School last fall. The Hennepin Theater Trust Spotlight program chose that play to honor, and other honors went to The Wizard of Oz at Osseo High School and Les Miserables at Maple Grove High School. All 3 received high marks for overall production and performance, and several individual actors and crew members were also honored at each school. They will now get a chance to work with professionals who offer training and feedback, and that includes performing at the Orpheum Theater in June. That should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, really cool. And that'll do it. That's it for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
As always, bring unity to the community. We will see you back here tomorrow.